Look deep with your unbroken eyes. Do you see her? Now with your unbroken heart, can you feel her? 20. Trapped in a void, tied up in a knot she cannot avoid, beginning and ending at the same place, bending, now broken, just bending for new breath. Look now, she looks to soothe the heart wounds, a balm to embalm wasted places. The heart, once womb, now barren seat, witness to passing faces. What is love, she asks. She used to believe one heart plus another made one, but she is numb, and intimacy cannot be injected into the vein or found in a bottle and drunk down. Intimacy? Into me, see? Memories of innocence like winds long past. What would you see if you could know me? 9. Pure love. Fly dove, fine love, wide hugs, blanket snug, hopscotch and colored chalk, friends just to walk around the block, dolls for children, prized possessions wrapped in her arms, loved and loving, never question. To hold is safe, to be held is safer. 17. Men notice, grow bolder. They say beauty is in the arms of the beholder, and so they hold her, alone but for one voice. Yet the words of a friend wound and heal, and the words of a thief only steal, but they feel like a gift, like love on her lips, desire like honey drips, to be sweet, to be worshipped, like a doll in another's arms, prized possession, his obsession. So daggers of truth go ignored because they are pain. Her lifeline strains, unravels until she is alone, taken, touched, but wrapped in his arms, he is a crutch, forsaken. Arms pressing, forcing, she clings, he shapes, the violent potter takes, a daughter justifies rape, now lamb to the slaughter. All flowers wilt without water. Love has flown far from what she has known. He toys with her, like the very doll she used to hold, still beautiful, he insists, but words mean less if brokenness persists. He is bored, and so she is shared, then sold. He sells her, second-hand pleasure. Where is hope and where is shelter? How long since she has felt her own heart, seen with unbroken eyes? 20. Look with your unbroken eyes. Do you see her? Now with your unbroken heart, can you feel her? Locked in her own dark soul, walls higher than she could ever scale, weighed on the scales and wanting. Can she love? Can she be loved? Can she even bleed blood? Can I love? Can I be loved? Can I even bleed blood?
I shouldn't even be up here. It's almost degrading to have to talk about this up here, all vulnerable with the world watching. I don't want to have to face the facts. I don't want to have to face that reality. This world. I don't understand how somebody's so pure, so innocent, like a beautiful doll. She was muted. It's all starting to come back now. I still remember the nightmare or the reality. I can't really remember which is which. But I guess that's pretty normal when your sister was used. That man, that demon, that devil, he was the one that took everything from me. He broke my family. He took my sister's innocence. He was the one that used her dry until there was nothing left, until she was empty. Not only that, he exposed her. He shared her like she was some sort of property, used among men like a toy. How in the world can someone so filthy, so evil, even bear existence on the same earth as me? He makes a living off of other people's pain. That scum of life doesn't even deserve existence. Once I knew what had happened, once I knew he took my sister, I couldn't stop thinking about it. He doesn't deserve mercy. He will just keep preying and preying on other people's little sisters like he did mine. He will not stop. He cannot be redeemed. He is the personification of all that is evil in this world. I stay up at night, imagining myself getting a hold of that pimp and gorging his eyes out, making him suffer like he made my sister suffer. And if I ever got the chance, I would. He's a monster. He never showed my sister any respect. He didn't really love her. But then another thought reaches my mind. Neither did I. We lived in a hard house. There was never any love between my parents and I. So why should I have been expected to love my sister in turn? She was an angel. I see that now. And I was the devil. I never physically abused her. But you don't need to use physical abuse to break somebody. I yelled at her. I screamed at her. I made her feel unwanted, unloved. We argued so much. It was the same cycle. I'd break her emotionally, and she'd run away. She'd leave the house, but she would always come back home. That was the important part. She would always come back home eventually. But on the day it happened, on the night her light got put out, she didn't. We'd later find out that she'd been spending months with this guy, meeting up with him almost every day. And one night, he just took her. I should have helped her when I had the chance. I should have helped her when I knew something was wrong. I had a voice. I should have used that voice to help her, to heal her, to save her. Instead, I screamed at her when she needed kind words. I stayed silent when she needed somebody to speak for her. I abandoned her when she needed somebody the most. That pimp was not the monster. I was. I abandoned my sister, my own flesh and blood. And not only that, I abandoned an entire female gender. You don't think about these things. You don't think about how close this horrific hell is to your world, this hell of sex slavery. Look around. We as men stay silent. We don't speak out. We don't say when something should or shouldn't be said or done. I see it in my school. And instead of doing something about it, instead of standing up against it, we stay silent behind the masks we've created for ourselves. Because our masks are safe. And we wouldn't want to be considered weak, now would we? Women deserve to be respected. My sister deserved to be respected. And yet, on the day she got taken away, I know I hit on some girl or made some sexual slur. Heck, I probably even watched porn that day. And because I'm a man, that makes it all right for me to do? And it's not just that. It's not just porn or slurs and abuse. Every little act of superiority and disrespect done against a woman just feeds into that idea. The idea that women are just property. That women can handle it. That somehow, some way, women deserve to be treated that way. I hate the pimp that took my sister. But what about the pimps in my school? What about me? Men, we're all just pimps in one way or another. It's this idea, this mentality we've created that makes that okay. And it doesn't matter what we watch or what we say or what we do. But it does matter. I can't even imagine treating a woman like that anymore. Not while I know my sister is trapped in a life of slavery. It's a slippery slope. And as long as we degrade women, my sister can't truly be free. She will never be free because she'll live in a world where she's lower than men. She'll live in a world where I'm expected to treat her lower than me. And it's time for that to change. It's time for me to take off my mask. It's time for me to speak up. Or I could continue to sit in silence and wonder how something so horrible could happen to somebody so pure and not change what I say, what I watch, or what I do. We can either speak out or stay silent behind the masks we've created for ourselves.
Forgive me, for I have sinned. I've never really done this before. Maybe I should. Let me just start at the beginning. It all started in high school. I guess you could say earlier than that. Let me tell you my whole story. I am an only child. I lived at home with my mom and my dad. I would come home from school to see my dad smoking and drinking through the window. I'd try to sneak in as quick and as quietly as I could. I'd try to sneak into my room, but some days I wouldn't make it. Just wasn't quick enough, not quiet enough, and he would beat me. My mom would come home a while after, but she wouldn't say anything. She couldn't say anything. She just give me this look that I'll never forget. Just the sadness in her eyes. She was devastated. And then high school came around. I hated being at school and I hated being at home. I didn't feel welcome anywhere. I would just ditch classes and spend my days in the quiet places I could find. And then one day I thought I found the perfect place, this little area under the bleachers in the football stadium. And one day I came to my normal spot, but this time there was this group of kids there. They just looked at me and they offered me this nondescript bottle. I didn't know what it was, but I drank it anyways. It was hard to drink at first, but I got used to it quickly, and it made me feel better. It was at this moment I decided that maybe alcohol and drugs would help me cope with things. And I'd spend my days trying to get alcohol and drugs, and I'd do whatever I had to do to get them. Then after high school, I met this girl. I loved her, or at least I thought I did. Either way, I knew I had to have her. Then we moved in together, but the drugs, and the alcohol, they were going to my head. She wanted me to stop. She wanted me to give them up, and she threatened to run. So I'd beat her so she'd do what I wanted. I had to maintain control. Then, when I was about 23, I heard from, I don't even remember where, that I could just make a little cash if I just give her up to another man. That's when I made one of the worst decisions in my life. I sold her to some guys. They wanted to do terrible things with her, to her. They beat her. And they raped her. But I got the money. I got what I wanted. At least what I thought I wanted. I had to prove that I was stronger than her and that I had control, and as much as I want to blame my dad, I can't. This was my fault. How could anyone forgive me for what I've done? I guess that's why I'm here. Is there some sort of thing I can do or say? Something to ease the pain? Just something. Something to make this guilt go away. Anything.
She spins and she sways to whatever song plays, without a care in the world. And I'm sitting here wearing the weight of the world on my shoulders. It's been a long day and there's still work to do. She's pulling at me saying, Dad, I need you. There's a ball at the castle and I've been invited, and I need to practice my dancing. Oh please, Daddy, please,
That was years ago. Now she's lost. I haven't even heard her voice in so many years. She's my little girl. She's so precious to me. Her whole future ahead of her. So bright, and then dimming so fast.
She says he's a nice guy, and I'd be impressed. She wants to know if I approve of the dress. She says, Dad, the prom is just 1 week away, and I need to practice my dancing. Oh, please, Daddy, please.
He came in and all seemed normal. She never knew what the outcome would be. Wrapped in a darkness she didn't yet see.
'Cause all too soon the clock will strike midnight, and she'll be gone.
I was broken. My beloved daughter, running to something she believes will fulfill her, but never would.
She is running 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction. She is trying, but the canyon's ever widening in the depths of her cold heart. So she sets out on another misadventure just to find she's another 2 years older, and she's 3 more steps behind.
My little girl, lost, hurting, believing lies. So far gone that she believes she can't turn back. I see her and call her to come home.
She is yearning for shelter and affection that she never found at home. And she is searching for a hero to ride in and save the day. And in walks her Prince Charming, and he knows just what to say. Momentary lapse of reason, and she gives herself away. Does anybody hear her? Can anybody see?
If she only knew and understood that I have a way out for her. If she would just stop listening to the lies for a moment and hear my voice, I can rescue her. I want to tell her how I see her, that I know her, and how much I love her.
Oh, does anybody even know she's going down today? Under the shadow of our steeple, with all the lost and lonely people, searching for the hope that's tucked away in you and me. Does anybody hear her? Can anybody see?
She wonders if there will ever be a way out, a way things could be different.
All this pain, I wonder if I'll ever find my way. I wonder if my life could really change at all. All this earth, could all that is lost ever be found? Could a garden come up from this ground? at all.
My daughter, I love you. Look around you, I'm here. I never left you. In the pain, in the confusion, I've been there with you. Your father, waiting for you to turn around and look, to see that I can bring hope, that I can restore.
All around, hope is springing up from this old ground. Out of chaos, life is being found in you. Make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. Oh, you make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of
You make me new. You are making me new. You make me new. You are making me new.
I will exalt you, Lord, for you rescued me. You refused to let my enemies triumph over me. Oh Lord, my God, I cried to you for help, and you restored my health. You brought me up from the grave, Lord. You kept me from falling into the pit of death. Sing to the Lord, all you godly ones. Praise his holy name, for his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may last through the night, but joy comes with the morning.
Well, we want to thank you again for joining us tonight. I'm going to just close in prayer here, and then we're going to take just a few minutes break, and then we're going to start a talk back, just a short time, for you to hear from each of the four guys who have created this particular performance, as well as the ACT group, the people who have been involved with creating the art, the actors and dancers on stage, an opportunity for us to just talk about this topic and about the experience that these students have had. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for your words. Thank you for your heart and your love and your grace and your mercy. We ask that you step into the middle of this issue and that you touch the lives of those who are bound, whether they be men or women, children, adults, here in Madison or far, far away. We ask that you would make yourself known to them, and that you would give us the courage to not be silent, but to use our voices in whatever way we can to help bring change to the issue of human trafficking and sex trafficking in our land and in the world. Thank you that you have spoken to us tonight. Help us to leave this place and to take action in whatever way that we can. Amen. So just be a few moments. You're welcome to leave if you need to. Otherwise, just hang on. We'll be set to start the talk back in just a minute or so. Yeah, you can get the microphone. Page. The actor can just sit on the. It's totally up to you if you want to. You're welcome to stay if you want. Otherwise, you don't have to. I don't know if I have anything to add to it. Well, it's up to you. Even if you just want to sit up here, you can too. That's fine. That's fine. Just don't sit on the microphone. Yes. Don't sit on the microphone. Yeah, put Faith. Faith, why don't you? Faith and Michelle. Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, that's enough. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. No, I didn't want to come up. And Billy can go there too. Yep. Here, can you guys scoot your chairs this way so that the four of you? Doesn't matter. We can get Cole right here. Okay. I think we got one more. I don't know where Ashlyn went. Ah, there he is. Is this on? This is not on. Oh, you got it. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. I just thought you had the iPad and I didn't see it in your hand. Thank you. All right. I want to introduce you to the four gentlemen who are part of my theater production class. They're all seniors at Abundant Life Christian School. I'm going to try to go in order here. This is Ashton Florence. He was the one who conceived and put together the first piece, which is called Muted. This is Weston Wallace. He put together the second piece, Silence. This is Cole Pryor. He put together the third piece, Confession, and Ashlyn Chapin, who put together the fourth piece with a little help from all of us because we wanted to tie all the endings together, and his was called Sing. And so I just want to give these four guys just a moment here. I'm going to just pass the mic down, let them tell you a little bit. I know, they're always like, we don't know what to say. So, but I'll let you ask them some questions eventually here too. But just a minute of why you chose your voice. That's why the evening was called Voices. They each decided to pick a voice that was a part of this issue. And so maybe why you chose this voice and where your idea came from doesn't have to be a lot. We'll let them ask you some questions eventually here.
So our goal with this piece was to make the female voice not heard until the very end for a very good reason, because we wanted to show that they really don't have these females, and also young males too, that are trafficked, don't have that voice. And so a big part of my piece was really wanting to show awareness that they're stuck in it and they can't get out by themselves, and they need help from people. They need prayer. And another big thing was showing that it can start from a boyfriend type of love, but that's not what he was going to get out of it. He knew all along that he was trying to deceive her and make money off of her. And that was really, I think, my goal in that piece.
So obviously mine had to do with the brother, and being the brother of three little sisters. We watched a documentary called Nefarious, and I'm not completely new to the idea of human sex trafficking, but that video kind of really showed that it can be anybody, and it could have been my sisters. And I'm a writer, and so I took those. I wanted to take those emotions and portray the anger, and portray the frustration. Wow, can't talk. Portray the frustration on stage to kind of, I don't know, maybe get other people kind of frustrated with the topic, and then the other half of it kind of that Pastor Sarah kind of said, hey, let's try to add a little bit of this in there, is just to raise awareness that it's not just like the pimps and stuff that are the problem with sex trafficking, obviously. It has to do with each and every one of us, specifically male men, which is why it's so cool, I think, that there's 4 male guys up here doing this, because we're quite honestly the problem in this whole epidemic and situation. And I just wanted to show that that it's not just the bigger picture, it's the little things too. So.
All right, so I had the voice confession, which was the one, So that was, so when I first was asked to start writing this, as he said, we watched the documentary Nefarious, and it immediately put a lot of thoughts in my head. It made me feel a lot, and I had, at the very start, when I was starting to think about which voice I was going to pick, the one that stuck out to me the most was the voice of the pimp. It was a challenge for me. There aren't a lot of, I'd only from, like, when you hear about sex trafficking, you don't hear it a lot from the voice of the pimp. You don't hear the pimp talking about it that much. So in Nefarious, there is a pimp explaining his story as well, and it's one of the reasons that hit me a lot, his story. And so that's the reason that I chose that voice. That's why I chose it.
Okay, I don't like sitting and talking. So my voice, it was one of those things where they were talking about it, and I was kind of just doing my research because I'm a person who likes to know a lot about the topic. And so they started to pick like a person in sex trafficking, the brother of someone whose sister has been trafficked, the pimp. And I was like, okay, what if we took the position of a father? Because brother and father are kind of similar, but at the same time, they've got some very key differences. Like for me, I don't always get along with my sisters. So it's one of those things where I can definitely relate that a father is very different than a sister. And then I brought that to Sarah, and she helped come up with the idea to show God's heart on the issue too. And so for me, I felt like that was extremely powerful, and I chose to use music because I feel like something in our culture today that really connects with people is music. It's just one of those things that, I mean, Cole can't get his earbuds out of his ear. So I felt like it was a really good way to just allow people to connect in a different way. So.
Great, thanks guys. So we're going to open this up to you guys to ask any questions. Both of the guys who helped create this in the class, we did start with a research process, and then a writing process, and then obviously a rehearsal and performance process. And then of course we have Faith and Michelle and Billy, who were all on stage with us in their process of it. And then a lot of these people down here are ACT members and also artists. We have several of the people who did some of the artwork out there. So we'd love to have any questions you have about what their process was as students, what they learned, what they experienced, whatever you want to shout out. Mr. White here has a microphone. He will bring it to you and even hold it for you so you don't have to touch it if you don't want to.
What was Michelle's role in the dance?
Michelle's role as a dance was a friend. Because in that particular part of the dance, it says 9, so she's younger. It starts with her older going younger. A friend who was with her, playing with her, and then the idea that she turned from the friend to this man. This man came in and brought the things that she thought she wanted, and she turned from the friend. Not in a sense of turned opposed to the friend, but left the childhood. Yeah.
Just want to say thank you so much for making that real. I was a little bit apprehensive at first when I thought of it as a theater type of thing, but it was you guys just really, with a sensitivity that I think pleases the Lord, made all those things clear to us in a real, almost tangible way. So thank you for the work, and may God continue to make us more aware and effective in combating it. Thank you so much.
You guys were so good. Do you think you would reach out and go into other schools and do your performance for other schools too?
They're looking at me like I get to decide everything. I don't think, well, I don't know. We've never talked about it, so I'm not sure. I don't think we're opposed to it. Obviously, they created it. We own, the only thing that we don't own is the music. In a church, we have an ASCAP license, so we can play that music. So there is some copyright issues with his piece, so I'd have to be careful with that and figure that out. But it might be possible because of, depending on where we would perform it, having the right licenses too. Maybe, I don't know. We did video it on purpose because we have a couple of different groups that want to use the pieces either individually or as a whole. And so we did video it so that besides us, they could have access to the various pieces. So we hope that perhaps some of those would be an opportunity for people to see it too, even if they wouldn't be able to see it live. I don't know. That's something I guess we could discuss and see if worked out into our schedule and if people wanted us to come. So.
Yeah, one, then two.
This is a question to the ACT group. What have you learned about sex trafficking in Madison specifically?
Mrs. Gruco, Mrs. Gruco, I'm going to give you the mic and then you can.
I was like, where's he going with the microphone? So the group that all of the money raised tonight is going towards is called Every Daughter, and they would be very equipped to answer that question. I'm actually a part of that organization as well, and this is going on in our city, in our midst. And so it's something that, as high school students, we want to help them be aware of the easy danger that it is. So easy to slip into this without kids realizing what's going on, especially with like the piece that Weston did Ashton, of that boyfriend pimp idea. It's very purposeful, it's very calculated, and it is happening in Madison. So if you want to talk more about that afterwards, I would be happy to, or the ladies at Every Daughter.
Also, just as we did our research, we just literally read the Madison newspapers. I'll give it, yes, it's online. You can pretty much just Google this topic in Madison and you'll get an article after article. There's a couple of initiatives going on right now in the kind of Milwaukee, Madison into Illinois basis. They're John initiatives, so those who purchase sex. There's also a lot happening. I want to say if you go into the art gallery that's kind of closed off by the curtain, I think it's Luke's piece. He printed things and put it on his piece. They're all Wisconsin instances of sex trafficking on there. And so I think even though maybe we don't hear about it a lot and somehow those news pieces don't become really relevant, it's constant. We could find, every week we could find news pieces to read. So, yeah.
Where's the question here?
As you were writing and having to act in roles that are like very not you, what insight did you gain, or like what perspective did you gain into the issue that surprised you as you were having to do things that were really not your normal role in life?
I'm going to start by asking Billy and Faith to speak into that a little bit from the performance side, and then I'll hand it to these guys and they can talk.
Okay, so it was like, I'm not used to being like a kind of a person like a pimp would be. Yeah, yes, very good. Yes, so that was weird. But at the same time, I kind of, thank you, Weston. I was able to relate in a way because we've all done things that we just carry in our hearts that we've done that we regret, and we know we do regret. So I kind of was able to like, okay, so this guy was, or at least he thought he was, in a loving relationship, and then he did this terrible thing, and then he regretted it. So that, on that level, I was able to relate, and that's kind of what I tried to go off of, because like also he's confessing it, and he's confessing it to someone he doesn't think he knows. So I kind of knew how that was too. It's like, okay, I don't know any of these people, but I have to tell someone. So it's like the urgency there. I kind of understood how that would feel.
Well, I had any experience with any of this. I've never been in a relationship. I've never had to deal with any of this, and I really haven't been exposed to much of it. But getting exposed, when I first heard the recording of what I did the dance to, it really hit me hard that this happens just like that. Like someone who comes in and deceives you and makes you think that they are safety and that you can go to them to be safe. And then your safety turns into a horrible situation. And I think understanding that really helped me try to portray it better. And I'm not in high school. I didn't do the act with any of these people. But starting to understand that, I think, helped me portray it.
I just want to say that partially why we chose Faith. Faith is part of actually one of our homeschool groups that partners with us. And the reason we wanted to choose Faith is because she's not in high school, and she's in middle school. And from the research that we've done, the majority of the girls who are sex trafficked or get into sex trafficking in this particular manner are between the ages of 12 and 14. And so we wanted someone to play the part who was the right age group.
I mean, it was really hard. I know, like, mine was the shortest, and it was really hard. So I don't know how they, did it, but I guess taking from just what we talk about a lot in acting is taking from other experiences we can relate to, and that was really what was probably helpful. But also I was in awe when I heard that this is like the pimp, age is my age, and I was like, this is weird. Like, I'm in a private school, but just the fact that this can be happening in our midst. And so I really was like, I need to do this. And this is why I particularly picked this type of piece between us, because I felt like it was the most effective. But yeah, I guess relating it from different experiences I had in my life.
Yeah. Mine was easier than theirs, because I just kind of acted off of the anger that I had thinking about if my sisters were trafficked.
So mine was very difficult to write. When I would start writing, I knew that I had to be in a place that was going to portray it correctly, which at times put me into dark places. And I had to write it in short bursts and then leave it be, and then start writing again and then leave it be, because I wanted to do it justice. But to do that, I had to put myself into that situation. I had to think about what it would be like if it was me, and like it's really dark. It's a bad place to be, but it changed me and helped me be more aware of the situation, and I'm glad that I got to write it. I mean, at the time it was very, very difficult, but being put in the position of writing that helped immensely in my growth. Yeah, that too. The deadline was, yeah, I had a problem with that. All right.
Okay. Any other questions?
I noticed that there's 10 seniors up there, so I wondered if each one of you seniors could recruit somebody to replace you for next year.
Yeah, and actually, we have a huge amount of the group here, but there are more students that aren't here with us because we have 2 basketball games tonight. So we've got girls basketball and boys basketball off on basketball. So some of them are off playing sports and aren't with us tonight. So are there more? Yes, more questions.
You can raise your hand ahead of time, too.
I just wanted to know, in your research, what you found people can do to actively fight this.
Okay. So this is if Weston wants to say something, he can, but I would like some of the ACT members to respond to this because you guys have also been learning about this. So anyone? Yes, Weston can. I'll have Weston talk. The rest of you decide if you want to talk. Again, the drama kids, right?
Can you tell? Yeah, also was homeschooled. Okay. Like I kind of said earlier, this whole second part of my skit is, or like more like the last paragraph, but they were big paragraphs. Is my character, the brother, just explaining how this happens everywhere and how we can. I had this idea for the whole mask thing, and I was like, because we go around each day putting on a sort of film or a mask, and we kind of hide behind that, and we're, especially as men, you're kind of just afraid to stand up for things sometime, even though we're big and burly and manly and stuff, we're still afraid to stand up for something like this. And so really, I think that it starts as small as it doesn't have to be huge things. It could just be little small things, like the movies you go and watch, especially the music you listen to. There's so much garbage and filth in the all music. We had a Thursday chapel, and Cole remember this because he's a small group chapel leader with me, and we asked how many of the people in our small group section knew that almost every song had something sexual about it. And all the kids raised their hand because it's true. There's not a song in pop culture that's popular that doesn't have something sexual about it usually. So it's just little things about that, and not feeding into that, because those are the things that feed into the idea, as the skit said, that women are just inferior in some way. So.
You guys are great. Please don't pass Sarah. Here? So like Weston said with Cole, I'm a small group chapel leader with Ashlyn, and we talked about ways to combat trafficking. One of the big ones I remember reading, not from ACT, but just beforehand when I had to research it for something else, was people don't pay attention to it. It's really subliminal in how it happens. You know, you don't, like with a lot of the guys up there in their skits, it's you have a boyfriend who, you know, loves his girlfriend, and then it's just boom, you're now in trafficking and you're being pimped out. And that's what I got.
Yes, Mr. White, go ahead.
So, one of the things that we can do to fight human trafficking is put on plays.
Put on plays. What?
We can do this. I mean, this is why we're doing this. We make art. If we think about the last movement that was aimed at stopping slavery, was in England. Well, okay, not maybe the last one, but a significant one in the European slave movement to end that. William Wilberforce spent his entire life using every means possible to make evil ugly. He used art, he used media, he used every means possible to make evil ugly. And that's what we can do here. Make evil ugly. Show it for what it is. And that's what we're trying to do here. And then we can go be light. So we've got these booths that are out here where we've got people trying to be light and trying to support the oppressed and the poor. So what you can do is you can go talk to the people at the tables and buy something that will support a woman. That's what you can do. We're really glad you're here, because this is what we can do.
Thank you, Mr. White. And yes. And with that, I'm going to close the evening. You're welcome to come up and still talk to the students, the ACT students, and the other students. But please, please, yes, go look at the art. Take a look at the tables. Stop and talk for a while. We'll keep that all open so that you can do that all before you leave. And we want to say thank you so much for coming tonight, because this has been a semester, almost a semester-long project for these guys, and all of the people involved, and so many people look in your program, because it's obviously can't happen with just a couple people. And so this is the result of something that's been on our hearts and minds for quite a while. So thank you for joining us tonight, and we really appreciate that you came. Have a good night.